Hi, everyone. We are back, Dr. Cathleen and myself. I don't know. I think I'd like to call us like some power couple at this point. You with your doctor's practice and hormones, and me with all the food stuff. So I want to call us a power couple at this point.
Yes.
Great. So we wanted to talk today about the thyroid because I think this is one big mystery for a lot of women. Because it does control so much of our body. So before we automatically just say, oh, if I have a thyroid issue, then that means I can't lose weight, which you and I know is false. But let's start by telling people how much and exactly what the thyroid does control in our body.
Exactly. Well, when we talk about the thyroid, that's one subject that I absolutely love. You know how much I love the thyroid, and I love talking about it because 20% of us women walking out there have some form of thyroid imbalances. And when we talk about weight loss, what happens is that when our weight, the scale gets stuck and you have difficulty in losing weight, sometimes you have to turn on that thyroid. And where is the thyroid located? It's right here in our neck. And that small little butterfly gland does so much for the body. That's your metabolic machine as well. It also helps you with your brain function, your energy level, and plus your digestive tract. So it's a regulator. It regulates so many hormones in your body.
It's really scary. I really hadn't even heard of a thyroid issue until after I delivered my twins 22 years ago. Things didn't seem quite right. And they tested me and they said, well, yeah, from the pregnancy, I guess from an estrogen overload of being pregnant with the twins at the time, I just blew out my thyroid. So for the last 22 years, it's been very interesting. And what I think is very frustrating for most women when they talk to a primary care physician or an OBGYN, they get a very basic thyroid panel done. And even if they are like somewhere in the middle, the doctor just kind of writes it off and says, oh, you're fine. So really tell us, when you, Dr. Kathleen, do a thyroid panel, you run so much information, and tell us in the layman's term, what exactly you're looking for.
Well, when it comes to the thyroid, let me just run down the symptom list. I always go through what I call the signs and symptoms. So you can actually look at yourself in the mirror and it's so funny because I had a patient this morning. She's like, you must really enjoy looking at people because you're like, oh, she's got a thyroid problem. Oh, that's a low estrogen. Oh, that's a metabolic syndrome, but this is what I do.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's 10 signs and symptoms of what I call an imbalanced thyroid. So let's start with just the facial stuff, okay? Missing third of your eyebrows. So if you look at yourself in the mirror without the makeup, if you're missing a third of the outer part of your eyebrow, that's a thyroid deficiency.
Wow.
That's probably a hypothyroidism. Your hair falling out or hair thinning, it's like, oh, there's hair in my shower drain, but when we were younger, the hair falls out, the hair grows back. But as we age, the hair falls out and it doesn't grow back because the thyroid is needed for that to function. And we'll talk a little bit more about that too. Dry or wrinkled skin. Doesn't matter how much you moisturize yourself, your skin gets dry. You can write like the ABC on your skin and you can actually see it. So dry skin or wrinkled skin. Brittle nails. Nails gets really brittle. It just kind of like crack and breaks. Cold all the time. You're in a room and you're the only one with that thick sweater on or that jacket on. You got a thyroid problem, and we can pick that out, right? And then weight gain. That's the most. I want to say that's the majority of patients coming in. They're like, doesn't matter what I try to do. I try to exercise. I try to eat right, but my weight. It's difficulty in losing weight. And it's not because the program is not working. It's because sometimes your hormones need to be optimized, like your thyroid.
Yep.
Swelling all the time, like swollen hands, swollen feet, ankles. Like sometimes if you look at the upper part of your eyelid, if it feels a little bit swollen, like you're retaining fluid, like puffy eyes, that's a form of a hypothyroidism. The next one is low energy. It does not matter how much sleep you get. You wake up tired. You go to bed tired. You're the one that's yawning all the time. Thyroid deficiency. Constipation. I see this in a lot of patients, like the younger people. They're like constipated, that they don't poop. And I was like, okay, when was the last time you pooped? When was the last time you had a bowel movement? 9 days ago. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like pooping in that potty and not flush it for 9 days. Oh, it smells. Of course it does. That's what's happening in your body. So when you're constipated, your thyroid is supposed to kick in and allow your stomach to contract to push that toxic out of your body. But if it's sitting there, it's going to leach somewhere. It's going to leak somewhere. And that's where they call it leaky gut, autoimmune, or whatever they want to label it. And number 10 is slow. People that are so slow. I'm sorry. I grew up in New York City and they're like so slow. It just drives me crazy. They're sluggish. They're slow. They move slow. They talk slow. They function so slow. That's a form of hypothyroidism.
Yeah, it's crazy. You grew up in New York. I grew up in Philly. We are fast walkers. We are fast talkers. And when someone doesn't walk fast, I'm like, oh my gosh, hurry up. Totally get it. It fascinates me. I knew a number of those dealing with thousands of clients every single year, but the eyebrow one, that one really wigged me out. That is crazy.
Yes.
We know that women generally are dealing with this. Do you have any sense of what percentage of men are dealing with a thyroid issue, or do they pretty much not?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, men as well. Number one, you can pick them out. They have like slow and belly fat and they're like tired all the time. And I'm seeing more and more men are coming in here when I optimize their testosterone. I sometimes have to optimize the thyroid, especially when they're exercising and they're eating right and the scale just won't move on them, that stubborn weight or that weight gain. But yes, I want to say now it's about 10%, but because men don't go to the doctors like women do, like they only go to the doctors when they're totally broken. Us women, we're very, I want to say that we're very in tune to our body. We're smarter.
Right.
We're smart. We're very proactive. So we're very in tune, but that's part of our nature. But yes, I think there's a lot more men out there than what the stats are telling us.
I also think it's interesting, having dealt with a thyroid issue for 22 years, it is very fascinating that not all medicines are created equal. Like we know about Synthroid, we know about levothyroxine, we know about Armour, we know about Tyronicent, and I'm probably butchering some of the names, but it is fascinating to think the medicine that I was on 22 years ago no longer works for me. And you and I've recently talked, the medicine that I was on, my insurance no longer covered in January of this year. So I had to switch over to Armour, which historically has not really worked for me. And so now I'm waiting. I came back to you and I'm like, something's not right. I don't think the Armour is working. So you and I are going to be talking about that soon. But I think it's really important for every woman to understand that not every thyroid medicine is created equal. And it's very important to find a doctor who looks at the full picture to say, this is why this isn't working. This one should work. I mean, do you find that as well, that you have women or men come in and they've been on the same thyroid medicine for God knows how many years, and they're like, this isn't working?
Exactly. And the reason why is that I think blood chemistry is really important. I have some people reach out to me and say, hey, I think I need to be on thyroid meds. It's like, wait, let's look at the whole picture first. Let's take a whole history on you, find out what your family history is, see the patterns, order the right blood panel. It's so important. And if you're multitasking, stop right now, pull a pen out and write this down. This is the panel that I want you to look at. I want your doctor to look at the TSH, T3 free, T4 free, TPO, reverse T3, and also your ferritin level. In order for that thyroid to function the way it should, all those panels have to be looked at, because when we're dealing with hormones, we want to look at the whole picture, not just one small little piece. Most doctors only order TSH or T4 total. And T4 is the inactive form of thyroid. And that's what they're banking, that your liver and your gut microbiome is healthy enough to convert. And some people, they're unable to convert.
It is not, right? So there are a couple of things that I find fascinating when it comes to the food portion that can actually assist the thyroid. I try and get all of my hypothyroid clients, food clients, to eat gluten-free. Now, let's all just say this, like everything that's labeled gluten-free doesn't mean that it's healthy. But the more gluten-free our clients can eat, the better. But I just wouldn't say to anyone watching this, hey, if you see something at the grocery store that's gluten-free, it means it's great for you. You and I both know that it doesn't mean that. But specific things like old-fashioned oats, hey, get the gluten-free old-fashioned oats, that would help. The other thing I have found fascinating over the last couple of years, and you can probably touch on this, is the pink Himalayan salt. I say to clients, like, why are you using table salt? Do you realize it's been bleached and that's why it's white? And there's no micronutrient value in that. So, hey, salt doesn't have to be bad, but it has to be the right salt, which is the pink Himalayan salt. So educate us a little bit more as to why the pink salt is so great.
Yes, I love the pink salt, number one, because it's not bleach. And when it's bleached, they throw chloride in it to bleach it. And here you are eating it. So it's not the salt that's killing it. It's the sugar that's killing you. It's not the salt, So your doctor should kind of like change their little nutritional preaching to talk about more about the, sugar, decreasing your carb load. But anyway, that's another video. So why I love the pink Himalayan salt is because it is rich of what we call trace minerals. There's 84 minerals in that little pink salt. And what it does is that it really helps for your thyroid to function properly, and your kidneys and your organs. See, we did not gain that weight overnight. We did not get those hormonal imbalances overnight. It's through time, and it all starts out with the little micronutrient. So if you're able to just add a little bit of that into your daily routine, that'll be wonderful. Yeah. And one electrolytes that I love to tell people to make on their own is water. Put a little bit of that Himalayan pink salt in your water, squeeze half a lemon or lime in there, and there goes your, Gatorade, your natural Gatorade.
Yeah, because we all need that natural pH balance, alkalinity balance within our bodies to function and feel great. Last thing I wanted to cover with you is when it comes to food and nutrition, obviously we both preach whole foods, single ingredient foods that don't have a nutrition label on them because they don't need it, right? The fruits, the vegetables, the meats, all those things. But what's also important, I think that people discount is the intermittent fasting part of how that helps with our hormones, therefore helping with the thyroid. And right now we are signing people up for our June round of intermittent fasting, and they get their personal meal plan and they get all the recipes that they need. And we know everyone's going to be busy the month of June with traveling and graduations and all the things, weddings maybe. So we are keeping our meal plan super easy. But from the standpoint of regulating hormones and the thyroid, how do you see intermittent fasting helping with that?
Okay, so for those that did not watch last week's video, go and find it and watch it when we talk about insulin resistance. It all is all tied together, I promise you, and it will all make sense one day. But the intermittent fasting is important because what it does is that it gives your digestive tract a little break. It gives your cell a little break. So it opens up the receptor cells in your body so the nutrients is able to cross over, especially your thyroid, it's able to cross over and it's able to activate your energy source, your mitochondria. That would kind of like kick in, and it's able to help you burn glucose as energy, which is sugar as energy, and it helps to utilize your body a lot better, boosts your metabolism, get you to have the energy that your body needs to sustain throughout the day. And plus, it really helps for your brain function as well.
Yep. So what we love is implementing the 16-8 intermittent fasting, which just simply means, 16 hours you're not eating, you're drinking water, you can have some coffee, some tea, but then you're condensing your eating time, as we would call it, into those 8 hours. And I think what the benefit is the 16 hours of your body being at rest. It's not being taxed. And yes, while we're putting good, nutritious whole foods into our mouth, there's still a lot that our body has to do. So you think about those 16 hours where it's just repairing and rebuilding, and we're kind of showing our body a little bit of love. And that's, I think, why you and I love intermittent fasting so much, because of the insulin resistance benefits, the hormone benefits, the thyroid benefits, all those things that we just take for granted, right? It's horrible how much of our body we take for granted.
Yes, and actually if there's golfers out there that are fans, Phil Mickelson, if you kind of like check on his Golf Digest, he just talked about how intermittent fasting really helps him. That's amazing. And we're talking about pro golfers here, pro athletes that use that stuff to really to energize them. It's not just about weight. It's not just about weight. It's your mental well-being. It's about like the overall health. It's about waking up your own stem cells so your cells can repair itself without having to be placed on all sorts of medication.
Right. Perfect. Thank you so much. Great thyroid information. I think it's really important to review that list of 10 signs or symptoms that are so fascinating, especially that eyebrow one. That is so crazy.
Yes. Can I give one more tip?
Yeah.
Can I give one more tip? Okay. How do you know if you need more fats? How do you know if you need like essential fatty oils, or how's my DHA and all that stuff? If you're lacking of fat, if you take your arm and just kind of like feel behind your triceps, behind your arm, if it feels kind of like bumpy, you need the good fats.
Wow.
I mean, your body can tell so much about your inner health. And isn't that crazy?
That is crazy, because when I'm taking off my jacket to do it now, and I know I don't have those bumps now, but when I was growing up, all back through here,
yes, it's bumpy.
Always so bumpy. It's not anymore. So that's fascinating. However, this child shall go unnamed, but I have a child that is, of my blood that has all of that. We shall not name names, but that is fascinating. I always thought it was from a poor diet growing up, and issues with gluten, but now, well, it is from a poor diet. I needed more healthy fats.
Yes, need more healthy fats. That's it.
That is crazy. Thank you, Dr. Kathleen. Always
You're welcome.
Such a pleasure to chat with you, and I'll see you next week.
All right, see you next week.
Yep.